Welcome back to the 30-day Jiu-Jitsu Mobility Challenge. This session is all about your hamstrings. So let's not waste any time. We'll get straight into it. All right, so the first exercise that we're going to be doing is the 90-90. So we've done this recently, so I'm not going to spend too much time explaining it, but for those that haven't seen, for some reason, any of the other challenge videos, we're going to start in this 90-90 position. We're going to keep as much weight on our back knee as we can and our front knee, pushing ourselves up almost like we're hovering off the mat. That's the goal. Light fingertips on the floor in front of you, and to try and get as much weight off your hands as you can. So really drive into the mat with your back leg and your front leg. And you're going to rotate a little bit so that your upper body is as much in line with your front leg as you can. We're going to hover in this position here. So this position, I want you as tall as you can. I don't want you rounding forward. That's a different exercise. We're not doing that today. We're just focusing in on this 90-90 position here. Really engage your knees into the mat. So we're taking this static 90-90 hold and giving it a bit of an active twist. That's the whole purpose of what we're doing here. This should be engaging a bit in your groin on your right-hand side if you have your left leg forward like I do. And of course, in your hamstring in the front, really engaging this rotation as well. So a bit of a three-pronged approach, if you will. We're just going to hold this for a bit, and then we're going to move on to the right-hand side. After this exercise, just to give you a little bit of a heads up on what's to come, we have a bit of a front splits, or a splits, I should say, not front splits. We're going to hang out in that position as well as a static hamstring stretch. Okay, we'll swap over to the right-hand side. It's pretty quick, this one. 90-90 position. Again, engaging that back knee into the mat, engaging the front knee, hovering up above the mat as much as you can. That's what you're trying to imagine. You shouldn't actually be off the mat itself. That's not what I need you to be doing, but that's the cue. Rotate to be in line with your front knee. Light fingertips on the mat out in front of you. Sit up nice and tall in this 90-90. Let's go. And just a reminder, keep your core nice and engaged here. You don't need to be flexing it like crazy, but just like a modest engaged core, if you will, so that you can really rotate into this position and stay in a good orientation to your front knee. Nice and tall here. That's the aim of the game, tall and rotate. You can even have your hand on your belly here if you'd like, and light fingertips on the other hand. Make sure that you're engaging your knees into the mat. That is key in this position. Can't stress that enough. You want to stay engaged. We don't just want to be lazily hanging out in this position. We want to really be actively engaged in this position. As a reminder to maintain your breath volume while I'm waffling on and talking shit. Make sure you maintain a deep breath in through your nose, into your diaphragm here, and out through your mouth or your nose. And release. Okay, so straight into the next exercise. Have your right leg out in front of you. Create a hook. We've done this recently as well. Create a hook with your fingers, hook your big toe, and use this to pull yourself up into this tall hamstring stretch position. Flex your quad against your tight hamstrings. It's important to engage your quad so you're not just hanging off your tissues. Really engage your quad, engage your lat, pull yourself up nice and straight into this static hamstring stretch. I know that this is a yoga technique, I believe, to hook your toe. You can use a belt if you can't reach your toe, or a towel or a jump stretch band, something like that. Or if you don't have anything on hand, just grab your shin. So if you can't reach your toe and pull yourself up into a nice position, then don't stress. You can walk your way down until you can manage this position. Walk your way down through the regressions, like I mentioned, the belt, the jump stretch, or grab your shin. Couple more seconds here. Stay active with your quad. So this is, again, taking a static sort of position and trying to add a little bit of an active twist by engaging that quad against your tight hamstring. Okay, let's swap over. Create the hook. You can hook it. I like to use 2 fingers. I don't know why, but you can just hook it with your whole hand if you are more normal than me. So again, engaging that those quads against your hamstrings, hook your toe and use it to pull yourself up into a nice tall position. I don't want your back rounding and I don't want you trying to see how far you can lean forward. I want you to be nice and tall, keep your chest up, core engaged, quads on. Keep recommitting to engaging your quads. They should be rock hard against your hamstrings. Nothing sus. All right. About halfway here. Just keep on keeping on. And then after this, we're going to go into the next exercise, which is our first attempt at a bit of a splits. I can't achieve full splits, so I don't expect you to either. That definitely hasn't been a focus on this 30-day mobility challenge. I mean, it can be beneficial for jiu-jitsu, but we're definitely just targeting the more low-hanging fruit here, like with this sequence and with the guard retention series. We are not focusing too much on splits, but if you can do the full splits, good for you. That's excellent. So start here. Sorry for the view, but I'm going to bring my legs out as far as they can. And here, I'm not just trying to focus in on opening my groin. What I'm really trying to do is point my feet back behind me and engage with my quads here. So sitting up nice and tall. I don't want you rounding and seeing how far forward you can go. Again, that's the theme of today. We want to be nice and tall. We don't want to be rounded in our back position. Very common, I won't say mistake, but yeah, it's a common mistake for people that are trying to achieve the positions that we're putting ourselves in today. So tight quads, flex quads against your tight hamstrings, point your feet backward as much as you can. If you can't achieve this position and this is too much, go back to the exercise we're just doing with the toe hook, that's fine. But if you can achieve this, then you can sit up nice and tall and just have your hands lightly out in front of you and really engage with your quads into this static hold position. If you'd like, you can point your palms up and reach out in front of you and see how far you can reach. Ideally, this is the position that you will be in. And breathe into this position. When you can breathe in a position, it is a safe position for you. That is your key indicator here. You're not going to hurt yourself if you can maintain your full breath volume. So while I'm trying to talk and distract you and talk you through it, maintain your full breath volume here in through your nose and ideally out through your nose or your mouth. Recommit to your quads, keep them engaged, keep them squeezed, keep your toes pointed behind you. Reach out as far as you can, but don't round your back. Nice tall back, core engaged. I'm making this sound more complicated than it is, but keep on keeping on. A couple more. 3 more breaths with me. And 1 more, I lied, 4 more. And release, slowly release out of that position there. Whoo, all right. All right, and the last exercise we're doing today is a bit of a lunge and a squeeze. So we're gonna come up into a front lunge position, not the couch stretch. This is a little bit similar though. And this works predominantly your hip flexor, but I'm using this to tie everything in. And you're just going to squeeze your glute, hence the squeeze, and drive yourself forward in this lunge. So you should feel it nice into your, deep into your hip flexor at the front here. Keeping your glute engaged, drive your front knee forward and lean into this hip flexor. Don't let your back round. I want your rib cage in and down, core engaged, and lean forward into the stretch. You can have your hand placed on your knee or resting on something if you need for balance, but ideally you're just up nice and tall, rib cage in and down, and feel this into your hip flexor. You can add some pulses here if you want to make this more active, but I like the really engaging the glute. Give yourself a tap on the glute to make sure that it's turned on, and just lean into the position for me. A couple more seconds and we'll swap. And change. Right leg on the mat, left leg up and forward. Engage your glute, keep everything tight in your glute and lean forward and push into this stretch. If you're having a hard time trying to feel it, make sure that you're orientated straight so that you're rotating slightly so everything's pointing in the same direction and your glute is turned on. If you have rotated in the right direction, glute on and leaning forward, then you should feel it up into your hip flexor. Reminder to breathe in this position. Deep breaths into your nose, down. Try and breathe into your hip flexor. Recommit to squeezing your glute. Couple more seconds here. And release. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed that hamstring / a little bit of hip flexor in there as well at the end. Hamstring focus session today. And stay tuned for tomorrow's session in the 30-day Jiu-Jitsu Mobility Challenge.